You can just turn off the lights anyway. Thank you very much for the invitation. Thanks, sorry. Thanks, the host. It's a great pleasure to be here. I didn't know Al Qassami Academy, but it's a very impressive academy here. So I'm glad to be here. And this is a very important issue regarding the climate change. I think it affects all of us, and I really feel at home. To be here is on one side my previous boss, the previous head of Volcanic Center, Professor Jéورا, and from the other side is my colleague, Dr. Ahmed, so it's really feel like home. One of the most important issues that are affected by the climate change is, of course, agriculture. And today I would like to tell you about my research regarding the effect of high temperature on olive production. But before that, one of the solutions is just to create new varieties that adapt to the new condition or to the future condition. And for that, in the Volcanic Center, we have the breeding programs for many species. So if you don't mind, I would like to just start with a really short movie. I'm sorry it's in Hebrew, but it has a subtitle in English. Let's try again because I couldn't see anything. No, it's not working. בחוות המטעים שמשמשת חוקרי המחלקה לעצי פרי במכון למדעי הצמח לתוכניות ההשבחה. במחלקה מתקיימות מגוון גדול של תוכניות השבחה שמתבצעות בשלושת מרכזי המחקר של מינהל המחקר החקלאי, בצפון בנווה יער, בדרום בגילת וכאן במרכז בבית דגן. תוכניות ההשבחה במחלקה לעצי פרי התחילו כבר בשנות ה-70 ומתקיימות עד היום. כל תוכנית השבחה מתחילה מגרעין גנטי גדול ככל הניתן. הגרעין הגנטי הגדול משמש על מנת למקסם את השונות הגנטית שתתקבל בצאצאים.
אנחנו מפתחים זרמים של מצטיינים בעיקר בצבע חזק פנימי וחיצוני בצבע אדום, ומה שאנחנו מנסים לייצר פה זה זרמים בעלי ערך בריאותי גבוה.
מטרת תוכניות ההשבחה במחלקה לציפרית היא קידום חקלאות ישראל. אחת הדרכים לעשות זאת, למשל בתאנה, זה להתמקד בהארכת חיי המדף שלה. בהשבחת תאנים בעצם אנחנו בוחרים עץ זכרי, מפיקים ממנו אבקה, ובוחרים את העץ הנקבי, עושים את השילוב ביניהם, את השילוב הזה על ידי הזרקה של אבקה מפרי זכרי אל פרי נקבי. היום יש לנו תאנים מתוכנית ההשבחה עם חיי מדף של 3 שבועות.
כל תוכנית מתחילה מסלקציה שנערכת על ידי החוקרים האחראים על תוכנית ההשבחה וממשיכה בתצפית של חקלאים בחלקות מסחריות על הטיפוסים המצטיינים. רק אותם טיפוסים שעוברים גם את סבבי הסלקציה כאן במינהל המחקר החקלאי וגם את התצפית של החקלאים נרשמים כזנים מסחריים חדשים וניטעים ברחבי הארץ ובעולם. כל חוקר וחוקרת אחראים על תוכנית השבחה קובעים לעצמם את היעדים. כמובן שבעידן של אקלים משתנה, אחד היעדים העיקריים של כל תוכניות השבחה הוא זנים חדשים שמתאימים לאקלים המשתנה. המחלקה גם כוללת יחידה לגנומיקה שכוללת 2 קבוצות מחקר העובדים בשיתוף פעולה מלא עם כל חוקרי ההשבחה ומסייעים לייעל את תוכניות ההשבחה על ידי הכנסה של כלים גנטיים וגנומיים לתוכנית עצמה.
שיתוף הפעולה בין החוקרים שעוסקים בהשבחה, בטיפוח בהשבחה, וחוקרים שעוסקים באיכות ובכושר ייצור, לאפשר לפתח את הזנים הכי טובים בעולם, מבחינת האיכות שלהם, הטעם שלהם, הערך התזונתי וכושר ההשתלבות מחר. יש לנו במכון וולקני הזנים הכי טובים בעולם.
אנחנו משתדלים לייעל את כל תוכניות ההשבחה ובעיקר לקצר את הזמן מהחלאה ועד זן מסחרי חדש שנרשם. Okay, so we have 19 research groups working on fruit trees, and we have breeding programs on most of the fruit trees growing in Israel. Now we'll talk specifically about the olive and about my research in the last few years. So this is just an illustration of the temperature from NASA Instagram account, just to show you what happened with the temperature during the last 100 years. In the middle you see the year and the temperature as circles. And you see what happened in the last 20 years. This demonstrates really well that the temperature is arriving. Actually, in olive productivity, it's really important in which season the temperature rising, because the temperature in the winter, if it's too hot, too warm, and not cold enough, it will affect flowering that we'll see in the spring. If we will have high temperature during the spring, it will affect the fruit set, or the development of fruit from flower. We'll see it in the summer, and if we will have high temperature during the summer, it will affect the oil yield and quality, which we will see in the fall during the harvest and oil extraction. I asked the agro-meteorologist of the Agriculture Ministry to give me the temperature in Bertagan in the Ministry of Agriculture in the last 20 years and just put them on a graph, and this is really simple analysis to see the temperature rising from 2000 till 2020. And I divided it into the different seasons. As you can see, in the winter we have increasing of half temperature. This is a maximum and this is a minimum daily temperature. In the summer, the temperature are increasing the most. Actually, the minimum temperature in 20 years increased more than 1.5 degrees, which is really a lot and really affect the productivity. This is another publication of Ostrich et al. At 2015, who also demonstrates the increasing in temperature around the Mediterranean Sea, and also this is December, January, February, and as you can see, the most red is the most increasing, and June, July, and August is the highest increase. So we are also working on the chilling requirement of the olive, but today I will not talk about it. And this is olive orchard from Andalusia, Spain in the winter of 2021. You see all the snow. In Israel, the problem is completely different, okay? So our temperatures are really high. And actually it starts because I live in, or I was born in a kibbutz in Bet Shean Valley, which is more or less the most warmest place in Earth. And we had problem with the oil percentage. So this is two different cultivars, and this graph demonstrates the oil percentage in the olives in the last 5 years, and we have farms in Bet Shean Valley in red columns, and we have in other places in black columns. As you can see, in Bet Shean Valley, which has really warm summer, we have lowest oil percentage. So what we did is we did an experiment. We took 5 years old olive in pots. This is 60-liter pots, and we placed them only during the season after they have fruit in 2 different places. In Tirat Tzvi, this is the place where I was born and raised, which is really warm during the summer, and in Suba, near Jerusalem, here. And we did it with 5 different cultivars. This is the olive cultivars that actually have grow in Bet Shean Valley, Barnea, Coratina, Coronei, Kisuri, and Fisholin, to also see the effect of the genotype on the response to high temperature. We measured the temperature during the season. It was 2016 and 2017. In red, you see the temperature in Tirat Tzvi, and in blue, the temperature in Suba. And as you can see, every day we had about 10 degrees more in Tirat Tzvi compared to Suba. We finished the experiment when we started to see the ripening. Okay, this is maturity index of the olives, and between maturity index of 2 and 3, when the olives start to be black, we finished the experiment. Here, for example, in 2017, in Tirat Tzvi, the ripening was later, so we finished the experiment in Tirat Tzvi only here. But in general, this is the time that also the farmers are harvest their fruit and extract the oil, and this is the time that we finish the experiment for each cultivar. We measured the fruit development as well as the oil content, and we got different results for different cultivars. So for example, in Barnea, we have in blue the fruit weight and the oil percentage in Suba, and in red it's the fruit weight and oil percentage in Tiratz V, and as you can see, the Barnea was not affected by the high temperature during the summer in Tiratz V, and actually in the end of the season, it has the same fruit weight in Tiratz V compared to Tsuba, and the same oil content in Tiratz V compared to Tsuba. Unlike the Barnea, we found that the Koroneki is very sensitive to high summer temperatures, and in the end of the season, the fruit in Tiratz V were much smaller compared to Tsuba, with much less oil compared to Tsuba. The Coratina was sensitive only related to the fruit development, but it has the same oil content. The Suri cultivars that we all know was like the Koroneki, sensitive in fruit development as well as in oil content. And the Fishurin, like the Coratina, was sensitive only related to the fruit weight. We also looked on the cells. This is microscopic image from Tiratz V and Tsuba in the different 5 cultivars, and we found that the differences between the fruit in Tiratz V and Tsuba are mostly related to cell area and not cell layers. Usually we know that this is the accumulation of weight or the fruit tree development, and usually here it has mainly cell division and here mainly cell expansion. What we found that in Tiratz V, for example, we had cell division in the last few months of the season, which means that this is the Barnea, who was resistant to the high temperature, and it looks like what the Barnea did in order to be resistant is just to wait with the cell division, and only here, when it's a bit colder, he started the cell division. This is a microscopic image of the oil inside the fruit, and as you can see, this is the oil in Tsuba, this is the oil in Tiratz V, and we have much more oil in Tsuba during July and September. Again, we looked if it's the number of oil drops or the oil drop area, and we found that the effect of more oil in Tsuba compared to Tiratz V is mainly due to larger oil drops. We also tried to understand what parameter in the temperature is mostly affect the damage in the fruit weight or in the oil content by doing a correlation, and we found that the maximum temperature during the day is the most affected parameter, which means when we have days with really high temperature, the sensitive cultivars will be defected. We also measured the oil quality, and the 2 most important parameters in olive oil quality is the content of polyphenols as well as the percentage of oleic acid. And we found that in all cultivar, we found in Tsuba, which is the mild temperature during the summer, we have higher polyphenols as well as oleic acid. But we found that, for example, the Suri, as you can see here in the red column, also with very high temperature during the summer, still keep his high quality. I don't need to tell you that the Suri has a very high quality of olive oil, and actually the quality keeps being very good also in high temperatures. Not like the other, the Koroneki and the Coratina olive oil quality were defected, and Fishurim and Barnea were so defected by the high temperature that actually, according to the International Olive Council, they cannot count as olive oil at all. We also measured the expression of all the enzyme in the biosynthesis of oil pathway, and we found many genes that are sensitive to the high temperature. We also found 2 genes that we can use as markers for screening other cultivars, one for the oil content and one for the oil quality, when we can differentiate between the resistant and sensitive cultivars. So basically what we found on these 5 different cultivars is that none of them was resistant to summer high temperature in all 3 parameters: fruit weight, oil accumulation, oil quality. The Barnea kept on high yield but low quality in high temperature, whereas the Suri was really affected in the oil yield but was able to keep his high quality also in high temperatures. Then we wanted to talk not on all this summer, but to try to specify which season or which month are the most important month. And we did another year with a different experiment. This was the temperature in Tirat Tzvi in red and in Tsuba in blue. And what we did is we took only the Suri cultivar, which showed sensitivity to high temperature, and we took 24 different Suri trees. We divided them into 6 groups. One group spent all the season in Tsuba, in mild temperature. One group was only in Tirat Tzvi for the whole season with very high temperature, and the other 4 groups were mainly in Tsuba but went for a month and a half to Tirat Tzvi and then returned to Tsuba, and each of the group spent the time in Tirat Tzvi in different time, as you can see here. What we found is regarding the fruit weight, it doesn't really matter when you spend the time in Tirat Tzvi or when you get the high temperature. The high temperature affects the fruit development in all periods, as you can see here. But regarding the oil content or the oil yield, we found that only, as you can see, group D with the purple line was affected, and group D, if we look here, spent the time in Tirat Tzvi between the beginning of July till mid-August, which means this is the most sensitive period when high temperature affects the oil yield. We also looked on the oil quality, and you can see here the oleic acid percentage, and again you can see that only group D looked like the group that spent the whole season in Tirat Tzvi. So to summarize this, we found that the most important period where high temperature will affect the olive oil yield and quality is from the beginning of July till mid-August. So to just summarize, we found that warm temperature inhibit olive fruit development, also oil accumulation and quality, and the critical period is between the beginning of July and mid-August. The Barnea show resistance to high temperature regarding oil yield, and the Suri show resistance to high temperature regarding the oil quality. Maybe the strategy of the Barnea is just the ability to wait with the fruit development and the oil accumulation until it will be colder and then to develop. So what we are now trying to find is some treatment to decrease the effect, the negative effect of the high temperature during the beginning of July and mid-August. So we published 3 publications on this issue, and with that I would like to thank you. I just want to explain this photo. In the olive breeding program, we have olive germplasm consists of 120 different olive cultivars, And actually, I just went one day and picked one fruit from each cultivar among this germplasm and just took this picture to show the great genetic varieties that we have in our germplasm collection. Thank you very much.
As you know, by radical mechanism to small molecules. So we keep the oil in that places. I ask what the effect of the light, not the temperature.
Yeah, so the effect of light is mainly during the storage, yeah. So when the fruit on the tree actually needs the light, and it needs the radiation, and when you don't pruning the tree well and the branches don't get enough light, you will get less yield. So the radiation or the light is very good when the fruit on the tree. As soon as you take it off from the tree and extract the oil, for the storage, it's really important to put it in a dark and cold place in order not to expose it to light where photosynthesis will start to defect the oil.
Jéura, thank you for your excellent presentation and for representing the Volcanic Center and your department. My question is, when you run your experiment in different locations, did you use the same rootstock with the different cultivars?
Yeah, so actually 3 years before I started the experiment, I took 12 plants from each cultivar and kept them in Volcanic Center. Only after fruit set, I separated them to the 2 locations, and actually before that they got exactly the same irrigation, the same fertilization. During the season they were separated, but they were exactly on the same edge, on the same pot. And after the end of the season, I returned them to Volcanic Center again, mixed them, and on the next year I just randomly again separated them to the different 2 locations. The only difference between the 2 locations was the amount of irrigation. Because the evapotranspiration is much higher in Bet Shean Valley, we irrigated much more in Tirat Zvi in order that the water will not be the limited factor, but only the temperature. I cannot say for sure that we didn't have any other effect, but we did everything we could in order to have only the temperature effect between the different locations.
I have one question before I'm moving into my colleague. In my village, we are collecting the olive during the end of September, the beginning of October, and in the nearby village, only less than 10 kilometers, they are collecting it toward the end of November, the beginning of December. So why this is the case?
Are you talking about oil or table olives?
Collecting the olive in order to press it to oil. Yeah.
To extract oil?
Yeah.
Okay, because usually when you pick it for table olive, you harvest earlier, around September, and when you pick it for oil, you harvest it around November. Wait. Okay. So, it's a bit hard to see, but anyway, this is the different stages during the ripening. I would say, regarding the years, that this is around the end of August, beginning of September, usually. This is around the beginning of October, and around November you will find this or this. Now, here you will get more oil if you pick it around November. But, as I said before, the two most important issues in olive oil quality is the level of phenols and the level of oleic acid. Now, the phenols are much higher here compared to here, which means if you pick it on October, you will get less oil, but with higher quality. If you pick it in November, you will get more oil, but with less quality. I don't want to say that if you pick it in November, it's not quality enough. Okay? It's also quality, but in October, you will get higher quality or higher polyphenol level, which is the most healthy part of the oil. It will be also much bitter, because the polyphenol give it the bitterness of the taste. So it will be really hard to eat this olive oil if you're not used to eat bitter olive oil.
Is there any dependence on the type of the soil, or it is you recommend to collect if we need good quality in October, independent with the type of the soil?
What do you mean the soil? The rain or
the soil?
No. Soil type. I thought soil type. I mainly recommend to look on the maturity index. This is really important. And actually what I recommend to each farmer is to try to harvest in different years, in different maturity index, and then test the oil, see the oil yield, and only then you will decide what's fit to you, because it changed from farmer to farmer. But this is the most indicative parameter for the harvest.
Stemming from your results, that mean we're going to see in the future mid-shades as mitigating for light orchards?
We definitely have problem. That's my conclusion. Net is one of the solutions we are testing. However, I must say that to say the olive farmer to also put a net, which is really expensive structure, I'm not sure that the farmer would like that. We are actually going in two different directions. First, we are using our germplasm to screen all the cultivars. Maybe we will identify some cultivars that fit for high temperature in all three parameters. And we also do the breeding program, and we also look for solutions for the sensitive cultivars that we have in our field. One of the testing solutions is net. We also look for a chemical or some other idea to try and control the negative effect of the high temperature. But it's really hard, really complicated, especially when you have so many parameters, and especially when we said that high temperature during the winter will give you one effect, high temperature during spring will give you a different effect. So it's very complicated to find not only one, but we need more than one cultivar that fit to high temperature during the whole season.
Because the oil quality, because in the hot area maybe it will be too late, and in the cold one it's too early. So just to change the time, so maybe to repeat the experiment, so maybe we can solve the problem that we just change the time of collecting fruits.
It's a great idea. We didn't try it. We collected the fruit according to what the farmers do. Maybe it's a solution at least to get high quality. But again, if you collect it too early, you will have much less yield. So it's a question of yield and quality, and you can't get both.
Thank you for an excellent lecture for an economically important cultivar. It is the first economically important cultivar. I want to ask two questions. The first about the microscopic images that you have about the olive tissues and oil in the olive tissues. How do you obtain these microscopic images? And what is the type of the stain that you stained here? And the second question is about the germplasm. What is the type of the germplasm that you have? Situ or in situ germplasm conservation?
Sorry, but for the first question, we have histological unit in our institute, and actually they're my neighbor. So I just gave them the sample and they returned pictures.
So
very nice one also.
They were on the microtome.
So, yeah, exactly. They slide it with the microtome and just, I don't know. Yeah, no, but she asked about the staining, in which material we stain the sample. I don't know the answer, but we just give really nice picture. The germplasm is in the field. We have 120 cultivars, each represented by 3 copies, and we have them on the field. I must say it's really expensive to just keep them alive, but in my opinion it's really, really important, and I use them not only for the breeding program, but also just to learn with this great genetic variation about the genetic control on many phenomena that I'm studying. And I just wanted to add that all these cultivars, like me, belong to Israel. It's not mine, and each of you who wants specific cultivars can come visit me and take whatever you want. You can take branches and just root it and put it in your field or whatever you want. It's public available. No, we are not working with tissue culture. My grandfather researcher did some tissue culture. It was really great until one weekend he had electricity shutdown for the whole weekend. And all the tissue culture went, and since then we don't have them.
Jéورا, thank you for your interesting talk. Really, it was interesting. I am living in the north part of Israel in Tamra, and I am interested in planting the olive tree. According to your knowledge, according to the climate in the north part of Israel, what's the best kind among the 5 mentioned in your research you advise me to choose to plant?
It's irrigated or not irrigated field? You will put irrigation system to give the tree water?
No. Maybe in the summertime.
So I'm sorry, but for rain-fed, nowadays we only have the suri that really fit not irrigated field. If you ask me, I will tell you to put irrigation system in your field, and then you have multiple cultivar to choose. If you don't put irrigation, I will recommend soy. Yeah, go for the quality, not for the.
Yeah,